In a vaguely dystopian world, leather-clad cops in ugly cars clash with a community theater motorcycle gang. Fed up with the violence, Max goes on a camping trip with his wife and child, who the bikers attack. This makes Max mad. He goes on a rampage. Femininity in the post-apocalypse.
What's up, my wily wenches of the wasteland? You're listening to the very first episode of Femininity in the Post-Apocalypse, a feminist exploration of dystopian media. I'm your host, Klaire Lockheart. I'm an artist who specializes in traditional oil painting and fiber art, but I was raised by Tom Servo and Crow T Robot, so I think everyone loves it when I joke around during movies. My wonderful guest and I are going to discuss Mad Max from 1979. We'll rate the film, and afterwards I'll announce the recipient of the Honorary Doctor of Dystopian Studies degree from the unaccredited College of Clare. Thanks for joining us. My guest is artist Aaron C Packard, whose expertise is in corporate, industrial, lifestyle photography, but you may recognize him from when he used to go scuba diving. In the desert. At Burning Man. His photography is amazing, and you can see his portfolio at aaronpackard.com, spelled AARONPACKARD.com. Welcome to the show, Aaron.
Why, thank you, Claire. How are you doing?
I am cold. How about you?
Yes, trying to stay warm in my studio here.
In South Dakota.
South Dakota.
The most southern of the Dakotas.
Yes. Although, yes, we reached a high of 9 below, 10 below, something like that today, I think. Yeah, great.
Yeah. For those of you not in the area, we've been experiencing a few blizzards, and the wind chill is about 50 degrees below 0 Fahrenheit. And
Yay!
And that's also probably a good time to notice or to notify everybody that if they hear some Mad Max rumblings in the background, it's probably just a snowplow going by.
Yes.
Now, I am sure that our audience right now only consists of my friends, and I would like to thank both of you for listening. However, I should probably reveal to anyone else joining us that Aaron is my favorite person on the planet.
Aw.
But my opinion is biased because we're married.
Yeah, said you're my favorite person. Fantastic and wonderful.
Well, I adore you, and not just because you are incredibly smart, charming, and handsome, but you are a phenomenal artist. And one of the really exciting aspects about being married to a wonderful photographer, a professional artist, is that we get to exhibit our artwork together sometimes.
Yes. And, I have to say, ditto on pretty much everything that you just said. Well, except for a photographer part, you're just the amazing painter. That's fantastic and wonderful artist in many other realms as well. Yeah.
But one of the fun things we get to do is exhibit our artwork together. And one of the shows we did in 2022, I believe, was the first Thunder Domesticity exhibition. And that first show was called Thunder Domesticity, Femininity in the Post-Apocalypse.
Yes.
So everyone who's listening to this very first episode now knows the origin story of the title of the show, because it was too good to only use once.
Yes, absolutely.
And that was a really fun art exhibition where we got to show our post-apocalyptic dystopian artwork with some other amazing artists.
And, hopefully we get to do more of that in the future.
But Aaron, I truly appreciate you for joining me for this inaugural episode of Femininity in the Post-Apocalypse.
Why, thank you.
I can't do the very good in a world voice, but I'm trying.
In a world.
Say femininity in the post-apocalypse for me, please.
Femininity in the post-apocalypse.
Now, we're going to explore Mad Max, but before we dive into the plot and discuss the film, Tell us about the first time you tried to go see Mad Max.
So let's see, when Mad Max came out in the theaters, I would have been like 8, or actually probably when I came here, I was probably more like 9. And being, one of those, somewhat feral kids of the 70s and 80s, I was probably allowed to go see a lot of movies that most kids these days would not be allowed anywhere near.
Mm-hmm.
My plan was to actually see it in the theater when it
Yeah.
came out, and actually, I usually could convince my mom to go to pretty much anything. But it happened she was out of town that weekend,
Did you have to have like a
and
permission slip to
yeah,
go?
you had to have a permission slip. And actually, I think it was this incident actually caused a discussion to happen between my mother and the theater owner, who was friends
Uh-huh.
of the family, that I actually had a standing written permission to go see anything I wanted to.
Okay, so I distracted you. You were trying to go see Mad Max when you were a wee
Yes,
little lad.
yes. But so like I say, my mom was out of town, so my parents, who were not together, my father was somewhat looking after me, I guess, that weekend, however that worked.
When you're a
Uh,
feral child.
Feral child, right? But there was, miscommunication, and I couldn't get the permission slip that I wanted to go see the movie, so it caused some strife for a little while. I was a little upset about that, but things moved on.
And you eventually, of course, did get to see Mad Max. Otherwise,
Oh,
we wouldn't be able
yes,
to discuss
yes,
it today.
yes. I think I saw it in on cable.
Okay.
Um, but I did see the sequel when that
Hmm.
came out in the theater. And actually, I went to go see that with my father and a few of his friends
So
who
he made
were,
it up to you.
yes, because they were all art professors.
Mm.
So they had this little society that they called the Bluffers Society, because they all lived on the bluff outside of town. I know, real original. And but they would basically, these couple of guys would get together, and they would go to a diner, have really
Hmm.
greasy food and pie, and go see the worst movie that was out at that time.
Okay, so they went to go see the sequel because they thought it was going to be the worst movie.
Yes,
All
and
right.
I got to tag along that time. So
Oh, that's excellent. Now, I really do not remember when I first saw the first Mad Max movie, but I know that the first movie in this franchise I saw was Fury Road.
ah,
And the reason I wanted to go see that was because there was a classmate of mine in graduate school who gave a presentation about Fury Road.
gee, I wonder who that would have been.
Well, it's you.
Oh, right.
Oh my goodness. And so that's why I got interested into the Mad Max franchise.
Yes,
Now,
because oh, sorry. Go ahead.
oh, go ahead. Do you have a finish
Oh, I
thought?
was just going to say about that little presentation, and it was very inspiring and interesting for me, to see how George Miller really uh, presented a more positive feminist idea within Fury Road, as opposed to probably the more masculine directions that had been placed on the previous movies.
Hmm. Now, to help refresh our memories of what happened in this film, I'm going to
Yes.
summarize the entire plot.
Mm.
I want to mention for anyone listening who isn't in the mood for violence and assault that this movie includes a lot of violence and assault,
Yes, quite
but
a bit.
but I'm not going to describe anything in graphic detail because that's not fun for me either. After I share the synopsis, we'll have a snarky discussion about the film, and finally, we'll rate it using our brand new state of the art Maenad-O-Meter.
Ooh, yeah, the Maenad-O-Meter. And
It-
I suspect that since this movie came out in 79, we really shouldn't be worried about spoilers for anybody. I mean, really, if you haven't seen it by now, okay. Yeah, great.
As I share this plot, including the ending, Aaron,
Mhm.
please feel free to interject as I recount it because As you know more than anyone else, I'm famous for wandering away while a movie is playing to find snacks or refill our drinks. But speaking of drinks, do you remember what beverage got us through the film when we watched it last?
I believe we were drinking old fashions.
Yes,
Yes.
you made us old fashioned, so thank you very much.
Hmm.
Now to the film. In the slightly dystopian and distant future of the early 1980s, leather clad cops take a break from using their rifle scopes to spy on nude people so they can bicker over who gets to drive their ugly cars.
Yeah, very ugly cars.
Would you mind describing what those cars look like
They-
for
uh,
us?
well, they were kind of like some strange compacted version of a Mustang that were painted yellow and blue and awful hubcaps.
The hubcaps were yellow too, right?
Oh yeah, yeah, I think so. It was just awful.
The police drive their heinous cars to chase a couple to their death.
Oh yeah, that's the demise of the Knight
The
Rider.
Knight Rider, was that the guy who was
Yes,
driving the car?
yes. He had escaped from some jail, I guess, and what had stolen a black police car.
Ah, see, I had totally missed that he was driving a police car. I just thought that they were, doing a precedent for the Blues Brothers movie.
Well, I mean, yeah, there is a little bit to that, but then if they do have like some interaction with the police and the Knight Rider guy over the CB radios.
Mm. See, I just thought he was narrating for himself because he was a wild and crazy guy.
I think that was most of it. Yes.
Mm. But Max, who isn't mad
Hmm.
yet, is a police officer with a fancy car.
Hey, he gets a fancier one later.
Okay, I'll get to that. The police are all men, like most of the population in this universe, and they wear little matching pleather outfits. Later, Max's Max
Sorry. Yes, the pleather outfits are
they're
comical.
cute.
Yes, they're cute.
They're adorable. Later, Max's wife plays a saxophone and then washes Max's hair. Mad Maximum has a child, Mad Minimum. After he changes into his weird leather pants, Max prepares breakfast as his baby plays with a gun.
Yes, that's a very interesting little scene that they
The
they just
baby.
cut in for a second where the kid is like chewing on an actual gun.
Yeah, where was this movie made? South Dakota?
Yeah, you wonder.
Max then heads to work and eats an apple with a shirtless man. They check on a car. This is the fancier car, right?
Right. This is the fancier car.
And a pair of men hiding in a bathroom listen in on the conversation.
Yes, because apparently they Max was going to try to leave or quit the
Mhm.
force, so they got this fancier car to bait him into staying. I guess that's what I get from the story, anyways.
Goodness, I've never had a job where someone bribed me with a car to stay. Meanwhile, a motorcycle gang composed of community theater enthusiasts terrorize the townsfolk. In your
Yes.
experiences, Aaron, what's more menacing? Motorcycle gangs or community theater gangs?
Community theater gangs, definitely. I mean, if you're watching this movie, you see a crossover, I think, from the community theater gang into the motorcycle gang.
Yeah, they didn't have time to wash off their stage makeup before they started terrorizing the townspeople. They dance around, steal some stuffed animals, and intimidate the lone railroad employee. Their leader is a guy missing an eyebrow, and his name is Toe Cutter.
Yes, toe cutter. Wonder where the name comes from. You never get a backstory on that.
Does he have a toe that got cut off? Does he use his toes to cut other people?
I don't know.
And and is Toe Cutter in this franchise Immortan Joe's grandpa?
Oh, it could be, but it is also the only actor who is in the Fury Road movie.
Mm,
So he's the only one who, yeah, came back or that they wanted to have come back or something to do it.
okay. Well, Because he has that long experience in community theater. He's a
Oh, yeah.
professional. But this group is all upset because one of their moto bros died. That was the one at the beginning, right?
Right. Yeah. The Night
The
Rider.
Night Rider. Okay, I'm glad you said his name because I thought it was Nightcrawler. I was not paying attention. I was eating snacks. But to process their grief, they park their motorcycles in unison and rev their engines to intimidate the locals. The gang then decides to sexually assault a man, which causes a hetero couple to flee the town in their vintagey car painted with flames.
Mm-hmm.
The bikers attack the car and trash it, and they assault both the man and the woman. I have
Yep.
nothing to offer here other than some nervous laughter. Not because it's
Yeah, yeah,
funny.
yeah, 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 yeah. Anyways,
Yep.
yep.
Anyway, the police come across the scene afterwards. They yell at the man and call him names as he flees. The
Yes, he's running across a field.
great police work. The
Mm-hmm.
cops find the woman chained up and they pull on her leash as she tries to get away from them.
Yeah,
Mac-
yeah, that's great.
Max's buddy first introduces himself as Jim Goose, and then he stops pulling on the chain and carries that woman away.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And they come across one of the gang members at that point who
Yes.
what was probably, I guess, too drunk and stoned to get away.
I don't know, but the motorcycle
Yeah.
club left behind a guy that was Knight Rider,
No, not Night Rider.
Nightcrawler.
No,
Oh,
he
he was
died.
screaming Knight Rider.
Yes, yes, yes.
Oh, okay. And sorry, I was thinking about biker names. Aaron, if you were in a motorcycle club, what would your biker name be?
Uh, Bikey McBiker face,
Okay.
probably something like that. I don't know. I have no idea.
Bikey McBikerface. I like that. That's a good name. Now,
Yes.
the police dress up the left behind guy in a suit and chain him up. And then there was a trial, probably. There were many men in suits yelling, but something went wrong.
Yes, I believe none of the witnesses or anybody showed up at the trial, so there was a no contest situation, and basically they couldn't convict or charge him with anything if nobody was there to press charges. So,
Okay. After
so
the
this, oh, I was just going to say, so then the police get pretty upset that
cheesed
happened.
off,
Yeah.
would you say some of them got mad?
Yes, mad would be a good term.
Well, after the biker is released, his brethren celebrate by stripping, licking, and shooting a feminine mannequin. Wow, those guys know how to party. Toe
Mhm.
Cutter threatens the besuited biker, and suddenly the scene cuts to some thin lady crooning in a bar decorated completely in styrofoam.
Yes, it is a exceptionally 70s disco Australian motif, I would have to say. Yeah.
Anyway, the theatrical bikers then cause Madison Maximilian's friend to crash his motorcycle. But his friend shakes off the accident and loads up his bike in someone's truck. The hooligans cause him to crash this new vehicle too, and then they set him on fire.
Hmm. And that is the Goose.
The
is,
Goose.
is that police officer's name?
Officer Goose.
Officer Goose.
The original title of this movie was Silly Goose,
Mm. Mhm.
and it didn't pass the draft, so they changed it to Mad Max instead.
Yes, yes. Although if you see the original poster of
Mhm.
Mad Max, the cop figure on the poster is really wearing Goose's costume as opposed to Mad Max's costume.
Yeah, Silly
Yeah.
Goose.
Silly Goose.
In this wasteland civilization, there's great dental care because everyone's teeth look pretty nice. But the regular medical care is lacking because Max is able to not only visit his severe burn victim friend in the hospital while he's wearing his dirty, sweaty leather getup, but he messes with the sheets and touches the patient with unwashed hands. Maxwell, who is
Mhm.
now officially mad,
Very mad.
he threatens to quit his lifelong career as a police officer at the ripe old age of 23.
Hmm.
His shirtless boss,
Fifi.
Fifi,
Fifi.
Fifi, who also loves leather,
Mm-hmm.
convinces Max to go on a vacation instead of quitting. Oh my gosh, I wish I had a job where someone gave me a car, told me to go on vacation
I know.
when I was only 23.
I know. It's amazing.
I don't know how you get vacation time with a job. I've never had a job that had vacation time.
Oh no.
But I also have never had a shirtless boss in pleather pants. So maybe I was in
Right.
the wrong field.
He wore some jaunty scarves as well.
Ooh, jaunty scarves are great.
Yes.
So Max packs up his van and takes his wife and kid camping. At one point, Max has to deal with a tire repair, so Madeline Maxine drives the baby to go get ice cream. Toe cutter.
Mhm. Yeah,
And
they run into Toe Cutter.
yes, bum bum bum.
Bum,
Toe,
bum, bum.
Toe Cutter and the rest of the motorcycle gang find them and lick their ice creams, which causes Mrs. Mad Max to smack him with the cone and drive away quickly. One of the bikers tries to lasso the car with a chain, but cars tend to be stronger than human flesh, and so his hand is ripped off his arm.
Yeah, not the smartest idea, but
Well,
what can you say?
and later on, their dog discovers the severed hand because the dog is treating itself to a finger sandwich.
Yes. Well, so then we know that it was all just entirely a plot device and had nothing to do with the knowledge of physics of cars and how much more powerful they are than bones, I guess.
The family then retreats to a farm, but the villains track them down and murder the dog and scare the pants off the wife. I know this is a low budget movie, but this woman never has pants on. How much did pants cost back in 1979?
I don't know. I don't know. She had a nice pair of Uggs at some point that showed up, even though she had been wearing sandals the whole time.
Oh, and that
she
one
suddenly was in boots.
It was cut to tall, furry boots, right?
Yeah. So apparently, I mean, the story goes is that they framed the shot wrong or something.
Oh,
But
thought
anyways.
they were only going to film her from the waist up, right?
Yes.
And she was wearing warmer boots.
Yes.
I don't know why they just didn't let her wear her boots. It's apocalyptic.
I know.
You need pleather when you can't afford leather, boots, and a bunch of belts, right?
Yes.
And
That pretty much has it.
So the antagonists abduct the baby, but the kindly grandma who owns the farm threatens them with a gun, so Mrs. Mad Max can regain Mad Minnie and escape in the car.
Mm-hmm.
But alas, something is wrong with the vehicle, and so the mom runs down the freshly paved highway with the baby, right down the middle of the highway,
Right down the middle. Doesn't
hide,
try to get away. And yeah, anyways.
The granny tries to hold them off with a gun, but to no avail, because the motorcyclers run over the wife and child. The baby dies, and the wife is transported to a hospital and is possibly still alive, question mark?
I guess so. They say that she's stable and surviving, but yeah, that doesn't seem to matter.
Yeah, but remember Max freaked out because his friend was in the hospital for his burn wounds, and he's like, that's not him. So I guess if his wife isn't mint in box, he doesn't want to be married to her either, so she might as well be dead. Nice guy.
And their child is dead as well, so that would cause some madness, I would suspect.
Yes, this inspires Madden Maxwell to go on a rampage.
Mm-hmm.
He's beyond mad, but
yes,
would you say he's beyond Thunderdome? Sorry. I apologize. Anyway, ignore that joke. Strike that from the record. Max dons his cop pleather and hops in his fancy car. First, he threatens the mechanic that was helping him with the tire. Then, he starts mowing down bikers. I'm really curious how anyone survived the making of this movie.
I know. Apparently, there was only a couple of minor injuries in the entire making of the film.
So you're saying only the children were injured?
Probably.
Well, the minor injuries. I'm sorry.
Yes.
When I have to explain the joke, that's how you know it's funny.
Yes. Yes. Apparently, American stunt people were sure that somebody had died in one of the motorcycle
Wow.
crashes that they show, but apparently there was just some minor scrapes. So
Now, the protagonist is immediately shot in the knee, and then one of the bad guy bikers drives over his hand. Heroic fanfare swells in the background as Maddox Maximo regains his strength and starts slaughtering his foes. Then, dramatic royalty-free music plays as he kills everyone else.
yes, he chases down Toe Cutter and makes him go headfirst into a semi,
and he feeds him his own toes.
Yeah, basically, and then he runs other guys off a bridge, and then he keeps going.
With the magic of sped up footage, he tracks down the surviving biker guy and handcuffs him to a crashed vehicle, gives him a hacksaw, tells him it would be quicker to cut off his own limb rather than cut through the cuffs, and then Max sets the vehicle on fire so it explodes. Max drives off toward a one-point perspective finale as a French horn serenades us all.
Yeah, I you got to wonder about the trying to hack through an ankle, your own ankle for that matter.
Yeah, I don't think I would have been able to do that faster than cutting through a chain.
I don't think he really expected any of that to happen for some reason. I think he just expected to get blow up. So
well, he's gone mad, so
yes.
That's what the apocalypse will do to you, right?
Yes.
But speaking of living in a generic dystopian civilization where resources are scarce and everyone is dependent on vehicles, now would be a perfect time for an ad break because gas prices are wild and we have to figure out how to be able to afford to drive to work.
Yes, we do.
Feeling inspired to make something post-apocalyptic? Head over to patreon.com/Klaire Lockheart to check out free costuming resources through the unaccredited College of Klaire. Visit patreon.com/KLAIRELOCKHEART. Welcome back. Since this is a brand new program, I feel compelled to explain the purpose of the Femininity in the Post-Apocalypse podcast. In visual art, books, and movies, women and people of other marginalized genders are often missing or mistreated, especially in dystopian-themed stories. Overall, I enjoy post-apocalyptic media, but I am irritated by the lack of inclusion and diversity. While I know there are greater injustices in the world happening right now, I feel like if I can't even be seen as a person in art and entertainment, how on earth can I possibly expect my neighbors and government officials to treat me as a human? I understand many people think it's unfair to judge movies from the past with contemporary eyes, but this movie still exists. I'm alive now, and this is how I experience the world. There's nothing wrong with talking about how we feel when watching movies and how they impact us. Our experiences can be different, and that's okay too. My intent isn't to scrutinize every aspect of this movie or provide detailed historical context. I don't even want to get into the biographical information about the people who made this movie or who were in it.
Mm-hmm.
Instead, my goal is to talk about the things we enjoy, the things we find problematic, and how post-apocalyptic media like Mad Max influences us and our work. After our discussion, we'll conclude by rating the movie on our innovative scale, the Maenad-O-Meter.
The Maenad-O-Meter. Maenad-O-Meter. Anyways, no, we can't go on with that.
Do we need to add a new theme song?
Maybe.
So the first thing I want to address is the population in the original Mad Max universe. Some cataclysmic event must have happened before we joined Max and his descent into madness that wiped out almost all the women, people of color, children, and elderly people. Aaron, what do you think happened?
Well, with this one, you don't have a huge sense of post-apocalypse, although they're in Australia. So, my kind of idea or thought on this film is that pretty much everywhere else has really experienced the really nasty part of the apocalypse, and it's just kind of finding its way to uh, Australia where this is taking place. But I mean, to that being said, yes, there's a lot of people missing who I'm pretty sure are probably, were living in that area at that
Yeah.
time when the movie was made. So, there's plenty of indigenous, et cetera,
Hmm.
people in Australia, as well as I'm sure there were, a lot more women and elderly people as well.
Yeah, I think I counted 12 women in this movie out of the dozens of characters,
Yeah.
and that's a minority of the population. And I think only 5 of them had lines.
Yeah, I think you're right.
I believe the singer had the most amount of words coming out of her mouth compared to the other women, too.
Right, but she didn't have any lines outside of the song that she sang.
So does that count or does that
I
not?
don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, she definitely is with Goose the next morning. So she was there and could have said something,
Oh, I
but
missed
did not.
that.
Yes,
Silly
yes.
goose. But
Silly Goose.
the overall lack of women reminded me of the demographics at the Sturgis Motorcycle Rally in South Dakota.
Although
I've
it's slowly changing, it's
Yeah,
slowly developing.
I've only been there a few times, and in the recent years, and I've gone to help you lug around photo equipment when you were working. But since you
Hmm.
have been photographing the event for more than a decade, Aaron, how did the population in Mad Max compare to your experiences?
Well, I mean, it definitely, I mean, yeah, depending on how and where you're looking at, but I would definitely have to say it's uh, more similar to when I first started going out there.
Hmm.
Though I have found that there's been, in the last few years, a really impressive increase of women's groups in motorcycle actually taking a presence out there, which is pretty cool to see.
Yeah, and would you mind explaining a little bit more about your experiences as a photographer out at Sturgis?
Well, I do and have done documentation and other work for the Sturgis Buffalo Chip, which is
Hmm.
like the biggest concert and camping venue out there. It's the best party anywhere, as they like to say.
Isn't that their trademark logo? Are you required to say that?
I don't know, maybe. But it's just always interesting to see the different demographics and definitely during the pandemic, certain political groups that I'm not too keen with
Mm.
probably had a stronger presence, but I think that's turning back again, hopefully. Um,
Well, the first one I assisted you at was the 2020 rally,
mhm.
correct?
I think so.
And the population in the Buffalo Chip itself felt very Mad Maxian to me, where it was
Mm.
a lot of men cosplaying as bikers, and there wasn't a ton of diversity in the main part, but there's the offshoot, the Camp Zero, correct?
Yeah, yeah.
Which has a lot more fun and quite a bit more diverse. And you've managed to create some amazing photographs of the shenanigans happening over there.
Yes. Many fun shenanigans.
Do you have some of these photos up in your portfolio on your website?
Yeah, yep. You can see them intermixed with some of the general areas of my website portfolio, but then also within projects on my website, there's a specific Sturgis gallery to check out.
And the lengths you go to creating these epic photographs make me a little nervous sometimes. I mean, not only are you really close to bikes just whooshing past you and multiple rides and everything, but sometimes my understanding is you hang off of motorcycles while doing
Well,
photography.
I kind of have sat on them backwards on
Hmm.
the back end during different to get specific kinds of photographs and such. And
The photos are great, but as your spouse, whoa.
Yes, well, things that my safety equipment usage increased quite a bit
Oh, yes.
under your amazing influence, my dear. Yes.
So maybe I should just say, hey guys, hire Aaron for your next headshot so we can make sure he has good safety gear the next time he chooses to hang off the back of a motorcycle while he himself is backwards.
Yes, yes. I like that idea, definitely.
And with the photography that you do out there, you also participated in the art exhibition they had this last year, the Motorcycles as Art, correct?
Yes, yes. That was a project for many years was basically curated and run by the photographer Michael Lichter,
Mm-hmm.
who's just been in the motorcycle industry for quite a while, and is just has epic work. But he retired from that this past year, and a few other people came in. And they kind of separated the art side and the motorcycle side
Mm-hmm.
between different people. And our friend Savannah Rose took over the art side and invited me in, and as well as some other people. So that was a really nice chance to have some work up there and mingle and schmooze with those guys. It's great. It's
Yes.
always fun.
Well, what's fun or funny is they would have all of your photos for all their promotion for the Buffalo Chip, like on the big LED screens and everything. And then you'd have the same image inside in like the fine art gallery. Is that weird to see your artwork used like that?
No, no. I mean, that's very much, a lot of my, you know, directive and past has been in the advertising and marketing world. So that's
Hmm.
where a great deal of my work ends up going and being used. But it's nice to be able to share it in more of the traditional printed,
Hmm.
untainted by advertising kind of display.
You need to be careful. Your MFA is showing.
Oh no, not my MFA.
Now, like at Sturgis, there's a huge pants shortage for the women in the Mad Max world. And
Yes.
when I watch movies through my contemporary lens, it's difficult not to notice costumes that appease the male gaze. And I'm referring to the concept of the male gaze spelled GAZE that is tied to the visual arts.
Yes.
I'm pretty sure most people first learn about this in John Berger's Ways of Seeing.
Yes, yes. And it's sadly a very foreign concept for most people outside of those realms of
Yeah.
academia. And it tends to throw them off and make them feel threatened a little bit when it's really just a philosophical conversation in a
Mhm.
sense.
This often means art is created by cishet men for the enjoyment of cishet men, and they often objectify women's bodies in the process.
Yes, and it's been like that for a long time.
Oh yeah, that's goes back to the 1970s when Mad Max was made and when Berger wrote Ways of Seeing. It goes
Mhm.
back through the history of visual art. If you look at any movement from Impressionism and you go further back in time through Baroque, through Renaissance, and it's everywhere.
Oh yes, yes, yes. I mean, it is with the development and strength of the patriarchal type of systems that we
Hmm.
run under. Those ideas and ideals pretty much were the only ones allowed.
Hmm. One way we've been pushing back against this stereotypical depiction of women as pantsless or absent is our annual Thunder Domesticity art exhibition. And
Hmm.
I had mentioned earlier that we started this with a show called Thunder Domesticity Femininity in the Post Apocalypse, and it was a small group show that was really cool. But
Yes.
in 2023, I opened up the show for public submissions and curated a large group exhibition called Thunder Domesticity Damsels versus Distress with about
Hmm.
50 amazing artists from across the United States.
Yeah, that was a fantastic show.
We had so much phenomenal artwork that was feminist, post apocalyptic, everything in between.
Oh yeah.
And in 2024, I'm going to organize another Thunder Domesticity show, and this exhibition will be called The F Word.
The F word.
Can you guess what the F word means?
I'm gonna guess feminism.
Yeah! Unfortunately, around here, feminism seems like a swear word.
Yeah, it's really moronic. Anyways,
And it's wild because it's just the radical notion that women are people.
wow, that everyone are people.
Yes, people are people. What an amazing, innovative concept.
I know. It's so radical.
And I'm really excited about this next show, which will actually be displayed on the exterior of your studio.
Yes, it will. On the north wall of Seven Center in Vermilion, South Dakota.
Yeah, it will be amazing. And I really can't wait to see what people submit. And if any of our wonderful friends who are listening right now want to participate, submissions for the F word are due April 12th, 2024.
April 12th, 2024.
I should have you do all the commercials. All the details for this exhibition are on my site, clairelockhart.com, under the events tab. It's free to enter. We do this show because we want to highlight and promote women, non-binary people, feminism in general, uplift everyone. And so we make it very accessible. But I want to mention that selected artists who get juried into the show will pay a printing fee, and we keep it as small as possible because, well, I kind of know the person who does all the professional printing for this exhibition.
Yeah, gee, I wonder who that is. Oh, wait, we have a printer in-house right here. Yes, I guess that would
your
be
day
me.
job is printing.
Yes. But then, you should explain on how once we have created those prints, how they are displayed
Oh my
on
gosh.
the exterior of the building.
Yeah, so we decided to do prints so that way people don't have to send their original artwork and deal with insurance and shipping. Oh my gosh, costs so much. So they pay a printing fee. You do all this phenomenal printing cheaper than we could get it done anywhere else, and it looks so good. But then I take these archival pigment professional prints and I wheat paste them to the side of the building. And last year, the show was in March, and oh my goodness, it was cold. We had to literally chisel ice. We borrowed someone's pressure washer with hot water to try and break up some of the ice.
Yes. The guys who were like cleaning the
Next
air,
door.
yeah, for the kitchen or whatever,
Mhm.
were steam cleaning stuff. We're like, hey, you want to borrow it? Yeah, it was fantastic.
Oh, it saved us hours of work, but we're
Yes.
chiseling ice to get the exhibition up. And I have found that my wheat paste technique will survive the 120-degree temperatures we have in the summer, the freezing temperatures we have in the spring,
Yeah.
and the snow, the thunderstorms. And with the wheat paste process, it adds this extra texture to it and makes everything look even more dystopian. And
Yes.
it degrades over time. We have a wonderful reception where we have artists coming in from all the surrounding states. We have had people drive over 5 hours to come here and be part of this exhibition and hang out and meet the other artists. And once again, anyone who's listening, I really hope that if you make art, the weirder the better, the more absurd the better. And send
Yes.
it to me. But go to my website, clairelockhart.com, go to the events tab, look up Thunder Domesticity, the F word. All of the submissions are due April 12th. The details are there, but the exhibition opens May 31st, 2024.
May 31st, 2024.
I'm saying that in case anyone's listening to this in the future.
Yes. Yeah, because I
And
mean you just got to say, I mean the show itself is somewhat of an art piece
mhm.
in itself, in that it is this ephemeral installation that gets basically destroyed by nature and sometimes by passersby late at night. You never
Well,
know. Somebody tries this.
we haven't had too much vandalism before.
No.
Usually what happens is people with a lot of really bright lipstick will kiss the
Oh,
artwork they like the
yes.
best,
Yes, we have
which
had that
is
happen.
wild. Oh, I totally forgot. But you host all of the artwork in an online exhibition too.
Yes, yes. So we keep a record of the show in a gallery on the PackardGroupLLC.com website.
Is that just packardgroupllc.com?
Yes,
Under
PackardGroupLLC.com.
Okay, and we have last year's show up in case anyone is curious on if their work is suitable for it. But really, if you're my friend, you know the curator.
Yes.
But I want to mention the date of the exhibition opening again is May 31st, 2024. And in case
May 31st, 2024.
And in case you're listening to this far enough in the future, but not so far that I'm no longer curating exhibitions or I'm dead, but check my website in the events tab because there might be a different show to enter if this date has already passed. Because I love hosting these group exhibitions and promoting other artists.
Yes.
I don't have a smooth transition out of this. Do you have one?
No.
No.
So we're going to go to the Maenad-O-Meter next,
Yes,
or
we'll talk about the
okay.
Maenad-O-Meter next. I just want to make sure that we were done talking about
I think we're
Mad
good.
Max
Yes.
overall
Yes. Yes. I think we're good.
and all the little pleather pants.
Yes.
So the Maenad-O-Meter is our feminist rating system that evaluates dystopian media on a scale of 0 to 5 skulls. Maenads were the ancient Greek followers of Dionysus who abandoned their responsibilities to run off and drink wine in the woods, and they occasionally ripped their oppressors apart with their bare hands. So, life goals, right?
Oh, yeah.
So, a higher skull rating means the movie included women and people of other marginalized genders, and they were treated well. The evaluation will be based on the representation and dignity of women. We'll consider the amount of women included, if they are central to the work, and how they are presented visually. If you don't mind, I'll share my rating first.
Go for it.
So, on a scale of 0 to 5 skulls, I will give Mad Max from 1979 1 skull.
Yeah, that's kind of where I was going at maximum. I mean, I wasn't sure if I was
Mad Maximum.
Mad Maximum. I wasn't sure whether it would just be a fraction of one, but yeah, one would be the top that this one would get.
I'll let you decide what your final definitive score will be. I'll explain that I'm giving this movie 1 skull because not every single woman in this film was assaulted, murdered, or nude, which is an incredibly low bar to clear. And it's a little sad that I feel obligated to give this movie credit for that. There just weren't enough women to brutalize or objectify overall.
Yes, and the only disturbing, awful thing that I could say was the sort of the equal amount of assault, kind of both to male and female, you might say.
But there were fewer women, so a higher percentage of them got assaulted.
Right.
It's kind of like how
that is very true.
There was at least one nude man in the movie, but
yes,
there were multiple nude women, and Max's wife just there was no pants budget for her.
No, there wasn't.
And there was a huge lack of diversity in the cast overall, but at least one of the women was in her 60s and she did play an important part. So my score is not going to be just a complete 0. I have seen worse movies in the treatment.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
So at least some of the women had clothes, and there was one woman who was older than me and she had a gun. So I'm officially giving Mad Max 1 skull. Aaron, how would you rate this movie on a scale of 0 to 5 skulls based on how women were represented and treated?
Well, like I said, I think one is the maximum I could give it. Definitely. I was contemplating giving it like a three-quarter or half for a lot of those same points that you stated. It's it's pretty much the women within it are only sort of plot vehicles for the male characters,
Yeah.
in that that they get killed and then it's revenge. So it's the wife wasn't killed right at the beginning of the movie,
I know,
so
that's
so she wasn't
innovative.
fridged right away.
Yeah, they didn't do that at the
But
start.
so I guess there's that. That
Mm-hmm.
helps to give it a one, I
Mm-hmm.
suppose. Um, but yeah, it's just but for also you got to say for 1979, yeah,
Yeah.
probably kind of on par.
And this isn't a rating on if we like the movie or not. This
Oh
is
no, I'll definitely watch it again, probably multiple times, I'm sure.
this is just specifically based off of how it treats women in particular. And of course, they're going to watch Mad Max again. I mean, we host an annual art show called Thunder Domesticity. We're riffing
Yes,
off of Thunderdome specifically.
absolutely. We have not started going to what is that, Diesel Punk festivals
Ooh.
yet, but we'll
Ooh,
see.
I've had people on Instagram send me messages and ask if we're there.
Mm.
Maybe we need some sponsorships.
Oh, maybe.
I would also like to share Mad Max's rating from the amazing people at the unaccredited College of Claire. You know,
Ah,
my totally real art school and not my academia themed Patreon account. But for each work we cover on this program, my friends at Patreon have a chance to rate it on the Maenad-O-Meter too. After they vote, I average out the score. If any of you great people listening want to place your vote for the next episode, go to patreon.com/Klaire Lockheart and you'll be able to see how you can vote on upcoming episodes because I'd love for you to contribute. For Mad Max, my wonderful patrons at the unaccredited College of Claire gave this movie an overall score of 2.4 skulls.
wow, 2.4. Wow.
And it's great that we have differing opinions and we're able to discuss it because that's one of the fun things about watching dystopian media is to be able to have these snarky and sometimes serious conversations with our friends.
Yes, absolutely. And I mean, and these conversations can be very fun to have.
Mhm.
I mean, I've enjoyed this conversation.
Well, Aaron, thank you so much for discussing Mad Max with me on the very first episode of this program.
You are welcome, my dear.
Oh, you are amazing. And I'm not just saying that because I'm married to you and I love you.
Yes, we are married, hence my use of the my dear. I would not say that with anybody else.
Well, you'd have to report yourself to your HR department,
Yes.
who is me.
Or it's me. I
Or
mean, it
it's you.
depends.
We'll
You
switch.
can, I don't know. Yeah.
But Aaron, before you go, I want to shamelessly promote your amazing artwork.
Oh,
Our
thank you.
Our awesome friends listening can see Aaron's photography on his website, aaronpackard.com. You can also find him on LinkedIn and Facebook, but I want to guide people to your Instagram account, which is Aaron C Packard, spelled AARONC, as in camera, Packard.
Yes.
Oh no, whoever's writing your Wikipedia biography page, what if they say the C stands for camera?
Oh gosh, that would be awful.
But they
That
can
really
cite
would be awful.
this.
Yes. Please don't do
Anyway,
that. Okay. And if you by accident happen to put in aaroncpackard.com, you'll still get to my website.
okay, thank you. And I also want to remind all you wonderful people listening to stick around for the end of the show when I will announce the recipient of the Honorary Doctor of Dystopian Studies degree from the unaccredited College of Claire.
Ooh.
But thank you again for discussing Mad Max with me. Awesome, Aaron.
Thank you, amazing Klaire.
But you have the alliteration, so I win.
Fine.
I win this round. Thank you so much. You're wonderful, and I appreciate being able to discuss this movie with you.
Thank you. I appreciate being here.
This program is part of the Department of Dystopian Studies at the Unaccredited College of Claire. If you thought that this podcast is really just an advertisement for my academia-themed Patreon account, you're right. Because I created UCK, I get to bestow honorary degrees upon my favorite people. Today, I am happy to announce the current recipient of the Honorary Doctor of Dystopian Studies degree, Sonia Hernandez Packard. Sonia is a wonderful jewelry maker. The earrings she creates out of shell casings are to die for. Metaphorically, anyway. If you haven't bought jewelry from Sonia at a farmer's market, you might catch her bowling or singing karaoke. You can also find her on Instagram at Sonia Elaine. That's spelled SoniaElaine. Welcome to the show, Dr. Sonia Hernandez Packard. Woo!
Hi, thanks for having me.
Thank you for taking time out of your busy day to join me.
Yeah, no problem. I was happy to hear that you're doing a podcast, and I figured why not?
Oh, I'm so pleased that you're here. And I have to confess, I've been lightly stalking you on Instagram to see the wonderful jewelry you've been creating.
Oh,
And
that's great.
and the last time we chatted, you were telling me about the materials you use when making your earrings.
Yeah, so I really like to use a lot of like found things or repurposed items.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and a lot of that comes from like thrift stores and things like that. And I just find it easier to sort of work within those parameters for some reason. It's so easy to go to a bead store and just look through all the things that they have, and they're just duplicates of a lot of the same things, which is fine. There's nothing
Yeah.
wrong with creating that way. But I really like to go and find unique things that it makes it a lot more one of a kind since the supplies are limited on those things. And then I also have an autoimmune disorder, which they
Mhm.
actually don't really know much about it, but I do know that it causes sensitivity to my skin. And so I do use like hypoallergenic or like silver plated and gold plated ear wires for my earrings, and that's that way everybody can wear them.
That's really great that you're thinking about that inclusiveness with the jewelry that you're making. You almost have me convinced that I need to get my ears pierced so I can wear some
Yeah,
of
you
your
should.
especially with the jewelry that you're making with like the bullet pieces seem very appropriate for the post-apocalypse.
Well, if you want to get crafty in the post-apocalypse, you can use empty shell casings, and they work for lots of things. I think if you want to get really creative, I think that you probably have a lot of time on your hands. But yeah, no, I don't actually shoot guns. I've never really shot one in my entire life, but um, I'm Yankton Sioux, and part of some of the things that we make as Indigenous people are like things that we've encountered throughout
Hmm.
history. So things that we wouldn't necessarily use, we utilize them in our arts, like shell casings, and that's one of those things that people use in necklaces or things like jewelry and things like that. So I like to incorporate that into what I make as well.
That's so cool to learn more about your process. And yeah, I've never been around guns before. I have some Nerf, but that's about it.
Yeah, I think I shot a BB gun one time, but that was it for me. I did not like it.
Well, Sonia, I'm thrilled that you could join me. Now, instead of making you give a boring acceptance speech, I'm going to ask you 5 quick questions so our fabulous listeners can get to know you.
Okay.
And I'm not going to ask you if you're ready because that would count as one of the questions. But if you're good to go, I'll get started.
I am good to go.
First of all, what is one of your favorite post apocalyptic movies?
Um, One of my favorite post-apocalyptic movies, and I do watch quite a few of them. I love sci-fi, and they tend to be a little bit more sci-fi. But The Matrix is one of them, and I know that's
Hmm.
probably like a very common answer for that. But I just feel like it's one of those movies that you can watch again and again, and it's just sort of timeless. It's always like just as good, I feel like. And that was created by Andy and I think it's Lana Wachowski. Um, and I'm not sure that those are the names still. I think one of them might have changed their name, but I can't remember. But
The
yeah, I just
Wachowski
really like that
sisters.
movie. Yes, that's right. Yeah. Yep, you're probably right.
Oh, that's
But yeah,
excellent.
so the Matrix.
Oh, very cool. If the apocalypse strikes and we wind up together in the same doomsday community, what skills do you have that will make everyone else wish they were lucky enough to have you on their team?
See, I find this one hard to answer. My sister and I, we've talked about this before, just because I've always said that I'm very resourceful, and I'm good at problem solving and like finding patches and workarounds for things. So it's sort of like kind of what I do, not to, to obviously join back into my jewelry making, but it is a lot of like when you're sort of just given something or a situation and then you kind of figure out how to deal with it. And I think I'm really good in those sorts of scenarios when I'm given a problem and I'm asked to solve it. So I
Yeah.
can't say specifically, but I would say that I'm resourceful.
Yeah, and you're very good at creative problem solving.
Right.
So, next, would you rather fight one Tyrannosaurus Rex the size of a goat or seven goat sized Tyrannosaurus Rexes?
Okay,
It's a
you
very
might have to
serious
repeat that
question.
again for me. You might have to repeat that.
Would you rather fight one Tyrannosaurus Rex the size of a goat or fight seven goat sized T Rexes?
I think it would be the one. I think I would rather just to fight anything one goat-sized something would be a lot easier than seven.
You befriend it and now it's your pet, hangs out with your cat.
Yeah, exactly, right. Yeah, right. It'll just add to my collection of cats.
In what ways are you ready for the collapse of society?
Um, in what ways am I ready for the collapse of society? Wow, okay. Well, um, yeah, I guess growing up resourceful, meaning we didn't have a whole lot
Hmm.
when I was growing up. And so it does make you have to think about things in a completely different way. Um, so I'd say, my mom's a star quilter and I learned how to hand sew at like a young age. So I think
Yeah.
I could probably sew something. I think that could be useful in the post-apocalypse or the
Oh,
collapse of society. I really hope so because
oh
that's
yeah.
one specific thing I know that I can do that might be useful.
That
And
would
I know a
be
little about a lot of things. Like I'm a hypochondriac a lot, so I kind of know a little bit about, I don't know, like health problems, or if you were to maybe give me
hmm.
like some symptoms, maybe I could try to like deduce what it might be. So yeah, I know a little about a lot.
When we don't have WebMD in the future, we'll just come visit you.
Yes, exactly.
Finally, what words of encouragement do you have for those of us who feel like we're always in the midst of an existential crisis as the world is ending?
Um, so I think that humans are very resilient creatures. I personally think I don't know. Sometimes things can feel hopeless even when it's not the post-apocalypse.
Hmm.
And so we tend to feel like, well, what's the point of certain things? And I think really the point of it is to keep going. I kind of and I'm not always a very hopeful person, but I always think things are gonna get better.
Hmm.
And so that's sort of what I would tell that's what I would say is that we have to keep working and keep striving and keep working towards, I don't know, something hopefully on the horizon. And that, even just trying means you can probably have some meaningful contribution to society in our post-apocalyptic future, and that anybody can do it. You can do it.
Well, thank you so much for joining us, Dr. Sonia Hernandez Packard.
I'm a doctor.
You are a doctor. I'm so
Yay.
thrilled I get to spend some time with you, and I'm happy to share your answers.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for having me, Claire. I really appreciate all the work that you do. You seem to be very busy, and I think I really admire that about you. So, thank you for having me on. I really do appreciate it.
Well, it's great to hear from you, and I'm not very good at ending conversations. I tend to Midwest goodbye people, so I'm going to say goodbye.
Goodbye.
Femininity in the Post-Apocalypse was created and edited by me, Klaire Lockheart. Join me at clairelockhart.com, spelled KLAIRE LOCKHEART, theaart.com, and you can find the call for artists under the Events tab on my site. Thanks to Aaron C. Packard of Aaron C. Packard Productions for providing the voiceover work and my recording equipment. Find him at aaronpackard.com. That's AARONPACKARD.com. Thank you for listening, you awesome people. Please help this show for free by sharing this program, subscribing, or writing positive reviews in order to appease the malevolent algorithm gods. I hope you'll be back for the next episode. Same Klaire time, same Klaire channel.